Hello and welcome to this Piney News update. It is December 23rd, 2015, and Christmas appears to be missing on Long Island. If you stepped outside, you've seen how warm it is, which is really ridiculous. But we've got a lot of things to talk about that obviously I'm not going to really delay until the new year because there are a lot of problems going on Long Island, serious problems, disturbing problems, problems that are so bad that are really just making me lose hope that Long Island will ever get back on the right track again. The first thing that I'm going to talk about, of course, is Nice Bus. I spoke with the bus driver a couple of days ago, and he told me the new Flyer XN40s are breaking down already. He's so far seen 3 of them break down and towed on a tow truck. So they're already breaking down. It's unbelievable. We just got these buses and they're already breaking down. And why are they breaking down? Because once again, there's no maintenance. You can get a brand new bus, but if you don't maintain it, it's going to break down. It's like if you get a brand new car and you don't put oil in it, you don't change the oil when you're supposed to, it's going to break down. Well, the same thing is happening here because there's no maintenance here of these buses. And so you have all these buses that are breaking down. And the other news that he said, and actually told me this was also very disturbing, the 3Gs are doing terribly. They're breaking down a lot. He told me he actually had a 3G. The engine didn't break down, but what happened was there was an interlock problem with the door, whereas as the bus was rolling along, the interlock that controls the back door, the safety interlock would come loose, and the bus would come to a violent halt. And so he couldn't drive it. It was obviously very dangerous. So he told me they did eventually get him another bus, but that he spoke with another driver that same day who was a different bus, which was also a 3G, also had the same kind of problem with the rear door interlock. Because they're not maintaining anything. They don't maintain anything. There is no maintenance at this company. I don't understand how they're even allowed to operate, how they get the clearance to operate a bus system with no maintenance. I just don't understand it. It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. The N6 Express. Now, another thing I noticed too. I think it was on Monday. The N6 Express. I was at Nassau, and there were 3 N6 Expresses in a row. And all 3 of them had not service signs on them. And the driver kept trying to program the N6X into the clever devices, and it wouldn't work. So obviously some kind of software glitch. They get all this fancy software, and it's useless because it's not being maintained. It's the same thing. You get if you don't maintain anything, it's not going to work. Nice doesn't maintain the buses. This is a serious problem, and nobody's talking about it. I'm the only media talking about it. I mean, I am very disappointed in the Tri-State Transportation Campaign. You can go to their website, www.tstc.org. They never mention Nice Bus. They don't even mention the fact that we're going to be having cuts coming January, and they keep getting closer. The signs for the cuts are up. They're going to eliminate all those routes, like I said, the N2, N8, the N14, the N17, I'm trying to remember all the routes they're eliminating, the N46, which all 46 runs are going to become N47 runs. Basically, the N47 is like a shortened version of the N46 that only goes to East Meadow and part of North Belmore. It's kind of useless. I don't know why they're even keeping that around. And then you have the N50 being eliminated, the N51 being eliminated, the N73, N74, N80, and N81 being eliminated, the N62 being eliminated. It's going to leave like the whole southern part of the county without any southeastern part of the county with hardly any bus service. There'll be no way for these people to go north-south. And I mean, some of these buses do carry people, you know. In fact, I was on the N81. It was the 81. Yeah, we actually carried 14 people one night coming back from Sunrise Mall. I think it was the 553 trip, and we carried about 14 people. All right, that's enough to keep the keep a bus line running. All right. Do I think there's too much service on the A81? Yes. It should have been trimmed down, but not eliminated completely. What are these people going to do? What are they going to do? You know, taxis are a ripoff, and they're just going to jack up their prices more if this goes on. I think it's a conspiracy. I really do. I really do. There's so many breakdowns, and I want to point out, a friend of mine actually, he sent me a video. He saw 2 buses in a row break down in Jamaica within about an hour of each other. So that was one. You can watch his video in the link. But I want to show you just briefly what happened to me the other night, actually. I was waiting for the 645 N35 from Baldwin, and the 615 bus before it never showed up. And as a result, and it might have actually been 2 missing buses, I'm not sure. This is in Baldwin Rail. It's like close to the first stop, fairly close. Take a look at how crowded this bus was. See, it was jammed. Standing room only. It was an XN40, but it was already jammed. I can't even imagine how it was down further down the line. I passed it up. I had to wait a half an hour for the next bus. It was just too crowded. I think there were 2 missing buses. I really do. So absolutely ridiculous. And it was a mess because of the incident at Roosevelt Field too, with the buses. It's traffic, holiday traffic, and all that stuff. A real problem going on the bus system. The bus system is doing worse than ever. The breakdowns, and they're going to make these cuts. And it does not look like anyone is going to help us. Nobody is going to help us. Now, like I said, I don't think all those routes should be saved, but I think there should have been 3 routes saved in some form of that on that list. All right, I think that there should have been at least the N80 or the N81. There should have been some semblance of service in that area. All right. Same thing goes for the N73, and the same thing goes for the N50. The N50, all right, because there's enough ridership on those routes, I think, to keep them running. All right. However, like I said before, NICE just wants to cut these routes, and then of course there's the whole thing with, I almost forgot, the N19 ending at Sunrise Mall. So now there's not going to be any bus that's going to go down Montauk Highway, which is not all that close to. The S20 doesn't serve that area completely. So I don't know how those people. The taxis are going to love this. And the sad thing is, this is literally robbing from the poor. You are robbing from the poor. When you do this, you're asking poor people to now spend 10 times the amount of money to get around by taking a taxi, which is ridiculously overpriced. Well, some people don't understand just how expensive the taxis are on Long Island. You want to go to the next town, it's $20 on a lot of these taxis, just to the next town. All right? That's how much they want. They are legalized thieves. They are legalized robbers. They are crooks, what they do. And I think something needs to be done about it. And they're going to take full advantage of this. You know the taxi scum I'm talking about. All Island Taxi, all these taxi companies, they can all go to hell because they're all thieves. They are all thieves, except maybe for Uber. Except maybe for Uber. I'll cut them some slack. But the rest of them are thieves. It's disgusting, it really is. So again, you take the bus, it doesn't really feel like Christmas time, dealing with all the breakdowns, dealing with what's coming with the cuts, and there could be more cuts coming if there's still a deficit come spring. We don't know what the state aid is going to be. Now let's move on to the Long Island Railroad. There have been some incidents that have happened on the railroad, mainly on the main line, of course. I mean, you had bridge strikes, you've had some notable incidents of cars colliding with trains, and on the 15th of December, we had a truck, a CVS truck actually, back into a train that was pulling out of Bethpage. And it suspended the main line. Well, it suspended all the Ronkonkoma branch, and the trains got tied up in Hicksville because it was causing a backup. All the Ronkonkoma trains couldn't go through, and it was just causing a backup of tremendous delays. And I just could not believe. In fact, here's again some more video from that day where it was just chaos at Hicksville, because the Long Island Railroad was not providing any substitute transportation for people. So there was just people coming to pick other people up. It was a mess. I'm sure the taxis were loving it too. I don't know what's going on. I guess maybe they restored some service. I don't know what's going on. Another train. Oh, it's 2 in a row. Yeah, they're all backed up. That 2 in a row. These are conga line of trains. They're all delayed. The light flashing up there. That red light means there's a train order flashing. A disruption. Let's see. Due to a service disruption. Let's see what we got here.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now the timetable to take effect Monday, December 14th for all LIRR branches. Please pick up a copy of the new timetable for your branch or visit www.mca.gov.
Then they display nonsense message like that when you have a delay going on. There you go. Oh boy. Definitely not good. Not a good situation at all.
Averaging 25 minutes on the Huntington branch due to a federal service disruption.
Look at all the people just there. A lot of people just picking. Look at all these people just. The train station. Look at all that side too. So I mean, a lot of these. This is why we need to encourage people to take the bus. All right, all these feeder routes, they should be being utilized at a time like this. Instead, we're driving people away from the system, which is totally the wrong thing to do. We don't need more cars on the road, and that's what Ed Mangano, New York State, and Andrew Cuomo are causing by not properly funding bus service in Nassau County. Look at the gridlock here. This person's blocking the road. People can't get through. Just look at all the traffic here. I've never seen it. Yeah, so you can see that there was a huge mess over there at Hicksville that day. You know, a lot of people depend on the main line. The main line is very crowded, and the amount of service provided is grossly inadequate for the amount of people that take both the Ronkonkoma branch and the Huntington branch. Grossly inadequate service. Meanwhile, the Babylon branch, those spoiled brats on the Babylon branch, I took a couple of videos, and I'm going to share them with you. Some trains, actually, that were, one train, I think it was the 605 from Penn Station to Wantaw, pulling into Merrick, and I mean, it really didn't seem that crowded. And then I think another video was the 536 or something, 536 from Penn going to Seaford. I'll point it out in these two videos what trains were actually. They're just they weren't that crowded. They were not that crowded. You'll see this is rush hour. This is because they have too much service. Meanwhile, main line we're jammed up like sardines. Okay, this is going to be a video of the Long Island Railroad Babylon branch in rush hour. Here I am at Lindenhurst. And as you can see in Lindenhurst, this train here passing on my left is the train I'm getting on, and the other train was a rush hour train going in. I think this is at Massapequa. You can see the people getting off the train here. Again, the train is not that crowded. This is during rush hour. I'm heading west, so I'm heading reverse peak in the, this is in the PM rush hour. And I'm heading west. Now, here I am off the train at Merrick. And as you can see here in Merrick, I'm waiting for the 605 train to pull in. This is the 605 from Penn. It only makes stops at Merrick, Belmore, and Wantaw. They have quite a few of these trains that are like this. As you can see, all right, there's a number of people on there, but it's really not all that crowded. Not to the point, I would say, of, being overcrowded. You can see there's plenty of seats. Most of these people standing are getting off the train. They're not getting on the train at all. So you can see them all getting off, and everybody will be exiting the train in a minute. You can see this is all just a pretty white-collar crowd over here. Again, they get the best service, and we hardly have any trains that are what I call the zoned expresses. They get a lot of these where basically they don't stop at Jamaica. They just stop at Express from Penn, Merrick, Belmore, Wantaw. and they get a lot of these trains. Sorry, I'm walking through America, which, by the way, is a very nice station. Very nice station. The rich people do get the best, you know. This supposedly public transportation, but again, richer people get better service than the rest of us do. And as you can see here, that is definitely the case. Yeah, so that is pretty much it. The train's pulling out. You can see just lots of white-collar people getting off the train. Plenty of seats. It's not if you saw a train stopping in Westbury, it would be jammed. It wouldn't be like that at all. I can guarantee you that. Okay, this train pulling in is the 636 train from Penn Station. It's pulling into Belmore at 7:26. It's a weekday rush hour train, and again, it's not very crowded. This is one thing I've noticed here on the Babylon branch. You can bet your bottom dollar on the main line. If we were on a Huntington train right around that same time, there's a train that pulls in to 734. Yeah, 734 at Mineola is jammed, that train. That goes to Huntington. This train is practically empty. Look at that. Look at all those empty seats. I mean, it's ridiculous. But again, you see the suits, you see the ties, you see all these rich people, white-collar professionals that, you know, very influential people, and they get what they want, and they get the best service. Well, we get jammed. Okay, here I am at Belmore. It is the 22nd. See, I'm looking at the sign. Look at all those trains. All right, the train you're about to see pulling in is the 624 to Seaford. Actually, it's leaving. Again, look at all the seats. This is an express. Leaves Penn Station 5:40, no Jamaica stop. First stop is Merrick. And again, it's... So, as you can see, they really get really great train service down there. But you know the deal, right? You got to be rich to live there. Of course, you got to be rich. You know, when I walk around Belmore, Merrick, all you see is Mercedes-Benz, Mercedes, Audi, all these luxury cars. The rich are just snatching that whole area up like crazy. And it's just very unfair service we deal with here. Very unfair service from the railroad. It's actually most evident in rush hour, believe it or not, because, again, I've seen the crowding patterns. And, I mean, when you look at... you know, and you just look at the crowd on the Babylon branch, you can see they're all white-collar, executive, very rich people. And you look at the crowd on the main line, which is more working class, you know, and yet you see that the rich people are getting better train service. You know why they're getting better train service. It's because they're rich. That's why. So New York is just the king of corruption. The king of corruption. It's very unfair. It really is. And speaking of New York, we'll just briefly touch on New York City with Bill deBlasio. Warned all y'all in New York City what was going to happen if you elected this freaking moron. You know, this is like David Dinkins too. All right, murders are up in the city. All right, subway robberies up 17%. Subway's getting a dangerous place. Central Park crimes are up. Felony assaults in the subway are up. Arrests are down though. Arrests have dropped by like 2,000 people. 2,000 less people arrested. Homelessness is up. They're all over the city now. Graffiti complaints are up. The city is slipping back to the bad days. And that has an effect on Long Island, and it has an effect on our environment. And I'm already seeing that effect because we're seeing more of these yuppies from the city moving here. They are moving here. They're bringing their obnoxious attitude everywhere you go with their freaking Audis, Mercedes, their luxury cars, their city attitude. They come and they just take over. They don't have respect for the way Long Island used to be, and they're just turning it into an extension of New York City, basically. And we're getting some more crime too. I don't know if you've been paying attention here on Long Island, but there have been a lot of robberies lately on Long Island, particularly in Nassau County. I'm just going to put some links to various stories in the description below. You can read them. You know, because of three major things. All right, you have that factor of people leaving the city. You also have, and people are leaving the city. All right, I see what's going on. All right, I see these rich people coming in, particularly all those South Shore towns, because they got the best train service. With their white collar people used to live in Manhattan, buying houses on Long Island. They are some of the most stuck up, obnoxious jerks you'll ever meet. All right. Really, all right? So, Long Island crime, we have a lack of a police department here in Nassau County. If you go, it's not just the buses that Ed Mangano has messed up. It's also the police department. The police department, the staffing levels in the Nassau County Police Department are the same now as they were in the 1950s. Now, Nassau County was a drastically different place in the 1950s. It was practically rural. All right, we have like probably 3 times the population at least now, you know, and yet we don't have enough police. We don't have enough police because this county doesn't want to invest properly in county services. All right, just like with the bus. So we have lack of Nassau County Police Department. This dichotomy between the rich and the poor. As the middle class leaves Nassau County and Long Island as a whole, you have that split between the rich and the poor. And some of the poorer folks, unfortunately, react to this in a negative way and start committing crimes. And that's why the robberies are up. All right, particularly at the malls and stuff. And we had that shooting yesterday at Roosevelt Field. Very unfortunately, somebody got hit by a bullet, but I think they're going to be all right. But we have more crime going on because of this dichotomy that's increasing on Long Island. You know, you go ahead and look at places that are more middle class, that don't have so many rich and don't have so many extremes. Let's take Ocean County, for example. There's so much less crime there. I mean, Ocean County is like the way Long Island used to be. All right, it's just so nice there. And you're probably looking at a future Ocean County resident because I'm starting to lose my patience with what's going on in Long Island. And the last factor is the weather. It's been ridiculously warm. So you combine these 3 things and there's going to be a lot more crime. I mean, this isn't Long Island is not a place where you can, you know, feel relaxed anymore. You have to constantly look out and watch over your back. There are thugs everywhere now. It's all you have is thugs, illegals, and rich people. There are no middle class left. They are leaving in droves. All right? And this county government, meanwhile, just gave themselves a raise. That's right, the Nassau County Legislature just gave themselves a raise. They like tripled their salary for 2017. Meanwhile, we don't have enough money to put more cops on the street. We don't have enough money to keep bus service. We're cutting county services left and right. What's the message here? The message is if you're not rich, get out. That's the message. They only care about the rich people in this county. Rich people can afford to have high-end security systems. They can afford to live in communities that are safe, you know, but the rest of us are having our communities turned into ghettos, all right? And this is what they do. This is what they do, all right? It's just disgusting. And the last thing I want to have in this is a long one. Climate, I'm going to just take a look at some weather maps and stuff. This record warmth that we are experiencing. I have the air conditioner on. Why? Because the dew point is nearly 60 degrees out there. It is humid. It is humid. This is the most warmest, most humid Christmas time we've ever had. Very disturbing pattern. It's more of a sign of climate change, more of a sign of global warming. And we have just disgusting tropical air coming up from the Gulf of Mexico that shouldn't even be coming up. It's all because of El Nino. It creates this. I'm going to talk about it in this segment because I got to show you on some weather maps what's going on. Hello, and this is the weather report now. We are experiencing an unseasonably warm December. After an unseasonably warm November, we are breaking records. And record warmth is likely for Christmas Eve as well as Christmas Day. We're looking right now. I'm just going to show you the Weather Service forecast. It's very humid, muggy night. I'll bring you the observation from Farmingdale. And as you can see, it is 60 degrees. 60 degrees. The normal high is supposed to be 42. So it is 60 degrees with fog and mist, just disgusting murky weather. And the dew point is 59 degrees. Dew point right here is 59. And if you look at the forecast, you see tomorrow, Thursday, Christmas Eve, it goes up to 69. 55. It doesn't really drop at all Christmas Eve. And there's even a chance of a thunderstorm tonight, actually, and tomorrow. Christmas Day, it's going to be 65. Again, the normal high is supposed to be around 40 degrees. So you're talking 25 degrees above normal. These are record highs, and it's just one record high after another. It's not that we've been just above normal. We've been having record highs every day. We've had like a string of record high days in a row in November, and now we're doing it again in December. And it remains very warm, and I'm going to explain to you why that is when we look at the computer. We'll first look at the satellite image here, and you'll see, let's go to that U.S. satellite image. You'll see that the United States satellite image here, you could see that we have a stalled front off of here. And the jet stream's pretty much going way up into Canada. And the reason why that's happening is because of El Nino, and we look at these models, you'll see why. El Nino. is causing a very strong Gulf of Alaska low. And what this is doing is it's cutting off the cold air supply for the whole lower North American continent, pretty much the whole United States. The cold air is just not coming down. We're not seeing the cold air. Instead, we're seeing this either zonal flow or a huge ridge building. You can see this huge ridge just building here and just bringing this really disgusting warm weather for this time of the year. I mean, this is record-breaking stuff. This is definitely not normal. We are in uncharted territory when we look at conditions like this. All right, I'm going to go ahead now and look at a text computer model. This, by the way, is the 10-day GFS MOS. And you can see maybe toward the end of the 10-day, it'll finally start cooling down. But this is just outrageous warmth. We are on our track to have our warmest December on record ever in Central Park. That's just how warm it is going to be. We're going to look at this text model here for a moment. I'm going to just drag this over here so you can see it. This is a text model. Let me drag this up a little more so you can see the GFS MOS. Again, this is a shorter range version of the model that we looked at before. And I want you to look, and hopefully you can see. In fact, I'm going to just zoom in. Okay, so here's a better view of a text model. And that KFRG stands for Farmingdale. And this is where it just gets disgusting. I want to show you how to read these things. This line here, this is the temperature. This line here is the dew point. And this line here is the cloud cover. And then wind direction, wind speed, and then precip probs below that. All right, and I want you to take a look at the temperature. First of all, look at how warm it's going to be. This is Farmingdale, but look at how warm it is going to be tomorrow. All right, it is going to be 66. That is well over 25. Some areas could hit 70, by the way, especially further west. And actually, if you look at iSlip, you'll see it'll have it close to 70. So some areas we very well could hit 70 degrees. I want you to note the dew points, which is that second row. Look at these dew points. These are dew points that you see in the middle of summer. All right. It is humid. It is warm and it is humid, which is why I have the air conditioner on. The air conditioners don't come out of the window anymore in the winter because we get these humid days in the middle of the winter, and we are in a stretch to see some of the warmest, most humid weather ever in December. I mean, this is normal weather for Florida, all right? Normal weather for Florida. So when you look at this, you'll see what I'm talking about here. It is just absolutely disgusting, terrible. This is climate change, and if you look at New Jersey, you'll see it has in the 70s there. But this is climate change. This is the change in climate we have going on. It is really a very serious problem, and we are seeing things that we've never seen before in such a short amount of time, and it is quite disturbing. And again, it is because of the warming and El Nino, basically. Let's go ahead back to that GFS graphical model here. I'm going to move this over here. And El Nino is a warming of the Pacific Ocean, the Eastern Pacific right here. All right, and because when this Pacific Ocean gets warm, it causes a low to develop here and a very strong jet stream. And what that does is that cuts off the cold air for the whole country. And that's what's going on. And when that happens, it usually has a tendency to favor a big ridge in the Atlantic. This is a summertime pattern. This is a summer. This looks like a summertime pattern when you look at this. We have a serious climate problem on our hands. And nobody seems to be addressing the seriousness of it. The warming oceans, let's just take a look at some ocean anomalies. Actually, I'm going to look at that. Okay, this is a map of the sea surface temperature anomalies. You can see they're well above normal on the East Coast as well. The oceans are warming, and when the oceans warm, and that's where a lot of the warmth is getting absorbed, that's what the long-range climate models have said, that's going to change the weather patterns. And that's exactly what's going on. We're seeing highly anomalous weather patterns. You know, hurricanes, I still think we could have had much worse than Sandy. I wouldn't be living along the water in this new climate, that's for sure. You know, we've got to reduce our greenhouse emissions. We've got to get off fossil fuels. There's no reason to be using so much fossil fuels. No reason at all with solar, wind, and nuclear. You know, there's no reason to be driving along in our combustion engines when there are so many better ways to do things. But unfortunately, it just does not seem we are going to learn, and we're going to wind up learning the hard way. Once we start getting a Hurricane Sandy every year, then people will finally do something. I don't know. It's unfortunate. So, as you can see, it has not felt like Christmas very much at all here on Long Island. And hopefully, wherever you are, not on Long Island, hopefully you're experiencing a better Christmas. It is a shame to see. And then we have, of course, this is something I'm going to talk about in January, more destruction out in the Pine Barrens. That's also going on as well. So everything that's good about Long Island is being destroyed, all in the name of money, all in the name of greed, all in the name of corruption. It is just out of control, and there aren't enough people coming out here and talking about what's going on, you know, and seeing the island you grew up on, seeing the nice blue-collar suburban place it used to be being turned into some extension of New York City without public transportation. That's basically what Long Island is becoming. You have all these rich people moving in, and all the nicest communities with the best train service. The rich people come in, they move in, so you can't move there unless you're rich. And then the other areas are kind of forgotten about, you know, especially in the middle of the island. You know, sure, you know, it could be worse. I'm not saying all the middle of the island is one big ghetto, but I'm looking at the future, and the future says it's going to be one big ghetto, and the rich people are going to be on the South Shore, and in the North Shore, in the middle will be one big ghetto, and yours truly probably won't be living here anymore. Unless we have some change, all right? We've got to invest in our public services, our police. Come on, I don't want to hear the county is broke when the legislature just gave himself a pay raise. I see these Mercedes and Audis everywhere. If you're going to freaking want to drive a luxury car in this county and buy luxurious items, then you need higher taxes. I would have a Mercedes tax or a luxury car tax, where if you want to buy or lease a Mercedes or any kind of luxury car, you're going to have to pay $1,000 when you do that, all right? And that could generate so much revenue for the county. It would generate tons of revenue. And these rich people, they wouldn't even feel it. That's nothing. That's nothing to them. Nothing at all. All right? So there'd be money for services. There'd be money to preserve land. You know, and we can start piecing back what made Long Island great. But right now, that's just not happening. And instead, we're going down this track of becoming basically the LA of the East Coast, I guess. You know, the people are conceited. They're stuck up. They're obnoxious. There's so many snobs out right now on the roads trying to run you over, splashing you in the rains, people with no respect for the bus. Oh, that's right. I almost forgot to show you this other clip, what happened to me the other night. The bus had a detour. We had to take a detour in Westbury, and some knuckleheads, the street's only wide enough for the bus to pass through. There's no room on the other side for a car to pass through because we were on a street because we had a detour, and the cars keep coming trying to pass the bus.
Right over here,
next, because this asshole right here now.
You got it, right?
This moron right here sees the bus coming, decides to go down the street anyway. There's only room for one. There's not enough room for us to pass now.
0 or www.nice.
They get paid $100,000 a year for.
La información de horarios y tarifas está disponible en el 516-336-6600 o en www.
These people are morons. I'm sorry if I'm offending some people, but these rich people moving to Long Island are some of the most obnoxious, conceited jerks you'll ever meet. That's all. I could say worse, but that's all I'm going to say. But try to have a Merry Christmas, all right? You know, I know that Long Island is just going downhill, and it's just a shame. But I'm not going to sit here and be quiet about it. I'm going to keep talking about it as long as I'm here, because somebody has to talk about it, because nobody else sure is. Anyway, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.